Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is part number 7, and if you'll remember correctly, the end of part 6, The Ark of the Covenant by Michael Fazio, we discussed that there was a space between the plateau or table of the Great Pyramid and the apex of the Great Pyramid that holds the eye or the all-seeing eye. This is the plateau that I have discussed with you that is in fact 44 feet this way square if it goes back on a 60-degree angle, which it would if you were into mechanical drawing and had the ability to create a three-dimensional construct. You would use something like this, and this would be a 60-degree plane off the face of the Great Pyramid. Now, this plateau that you see above the top set of stones is denoted in a white line. Now, most people have never seen this because in order to do so, you have to blow it up or look at it with a magnifying glass. But this plateau that you see right here, that stretches from one side of the table or plateau or top of the Great Pyramid in real life, as close as any measurement can come, is 44 feet square. That being said, there's a reason that this measurement is 44 feet, and there is another pictograph on the reverse of the $1 bill that depicts the number 44, and there is one on the obverse of the $1 bill that depicts the number 44 as well. And the pictograph on the obverse that depicts the number 44 is in fact on either side of George Washington's eyes, or what appears to be two little candy canes. One is here and one is here. And in the central portion of these candy canes is in fact 4 stripes. Now, these 4 stripes that appear between the dividers on these 2 candy canes represent the number 4 on this side, and the number 4 is represented on the other side also. This is a representation of the number 44 on either side of George Washington's head, because moving back to the Great Pyramid for a moment, this 44 represents the 44th POTUS. The 44th POTUS is represented by this 44 on the face of the Great Pyramid or the side measurement of the Great Pyramid, because it is a square. These numbers, although they're not numerology per se, these numbers were chosen by the race of beings that created all the pictographs on the $1 bill as representations to create a storyline that transcends time from 7,000 years ago and is part and parcel of words that have to do with the codex or codicy in the Bible that I discovered, which is in fact how I discovered these pictographs to begin with, by reading the Bible. And the interesting thing about this is that this number 44 feet by 44 feet, and the fact that when you go to the face of the $1 bill and you look at these candy canes and you see the numbers 44 denoted in 4 stripes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 4. The 44 on the Great Pyramid, as denoted by the measurement 44, is the representation of the first set or first representation of 44 and the beginning of a period in history. The end of that period in history is denoted when the United States government begins, because if you remember, I discussed with you that the eagle could be a representation of the phoenix, which flies off into the sun and is burned up via a nuclear incident, or just the end due to, in a pictographic nature, just representing the end of an era. So the 44 that appears here, 44, this is the end of the era of the 44 number itself. However, Barack Hussein Obama is the 44th POTUS. Therefore, these numbers denote the beginning, aka George Washington being the 41st president, and Barack Hussein Obama being the last president that I have stated unequivocally in every video that I have ever made in discussing that person, that he is going to be the last president as the United States exists as a free society, and that the monetary currency of the United States government is, in fact, paper. They are trying to push that electronic money on us because they want to get rid of paper. But moving past that, this is the 44th, the number that represents 44. Now, something that no one has ever seen before on the $1 bill is what I am about to show you next. And it is relatively simple to see, but no one has ever taken the time to see it. Now, aside from the fact that this looks like a Shriner's cap, there's a pictograph entwined around George Washington that actually encapsulates George Washington. Now, if you can ask 100 people tomorrow what encapsulates George Washington, and they will tell you they don't know. You can ask 100 people tomorrow if there is a special Greek omega symbol on the $1 bill, and they will tell you they don't know. And they will tell you they don't know because they have never seen what has been before their eyes since the beginning of their lifetimes. Because the $1 bill has had a perfect representation of the omega symbol on the $1 bill since most people in this world were born. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the omega symbol in its entirety. Now, why does the omega symbol set upon and encapsulate George Washington, you might ask? And that's a relatively good question. And it's relatively simple to answer that question as well. George Washington, the way pictography works and glyphs work is that it tells a story with pictures, numbers, and symbols. We already discussed the 44th POTUS and the 44th over the top of the Great Pyramid, or the plateau or table. Now, also in the Bible, the Lord God says that He is the Alpha, aka the beginning. George Washington represents the beginning of the United States of America. George Washington represents the beginning of the United States of America. And the omega represents the end of a society, or the end, the beginning and the end. However, this is not the only place that the alpha and the omega is represented on the $1 bill. It is the only place that I have shown you, and it is the only place that I have shown many people. However, I'm going to show you a picture of the alpha and the omega on the reverse of the $1 bill. This represents the alpha in more ways than one. The pictograph with the Great Pyramid in it represents the alpha in two methodologies, that is forthright and as obvious as it can be, in that it is shaped in a picture or pictograph that is similar to the alpha or A symbol. It is also representing the alpha because I have discussed with you before and many times on other videos that this is the representation of the God pod or life on earth and the beginning of life on earth as we know it, because everything in the God pod represents the beginning of life. The omega on the reverse of the $1 bill is depicted as the eagle, because the eagle has the nuclear detonation over its head, which represents death, or the burning and the end of society as we know it, because I believe they are going to utilize nuclear detonations or the collapse of the nuclear industry to allow America to be victimized and everyone in America to die as a form of mass annihilation. And at this point, this ends chapter number 7 from Michael Fazio, Ark of the Covenant.